Yes.
Okay,
We good to go?
We're good?
we are good. Okay. Give me
Okay,
just a second
so-
to.
One thing that our department did related to Jeep Safari was test out a visitor survey that we're in the process of creating. So talking to Ben, we basically developed an initial tool to have visitors take just a really quick survey, like, who are you? Where did you come from? What are you doing here? What are you spending? Where are you staying? Stuff like that. The idea is that in the future, this could be deployed maybe quarterly. We send it out to like just a QR code at hotels and restaurants. People are waiting for a table or whatever. They scan it, they take the survey, we get information back. That'll allow us, we do it every quarter, to start to see trends. So we use Jeep Safari as a way to test that instrument out. So you can see the poster that we made on the screen. Melissa very kindly had a booth at the Expo. She was asking people to take the survey. A couple of caveats about this data. Super opportunistic sampling, right? We weren't doing like randomized stratified sampling. We were just grabbing whoever at the Expo that we could. We had a pretty small sample size and we had 55 people. For it to be considered representative of people at the Expo, you need like 400 or so. So this data is not representative of everybody who came through town. It was more just to get a good instrument and kind of make some refinements to get better information from all of our visitors in the future. So just really quick results there.
That was our.
Sorry, okay.
You're good. I don't know when I can go again.
Melissa's recreating her experience at the booth.
I mean, everybody saw Melissa's smiling face.
Well, Melissa's doing this thankless. I do appreciate that as a thankless job.
I'm so.
Well, what is my owl? No.
It's off.
No, what's going on? I mean, I can record without a camera. If that's okay.
Well, I mean, this might not be good.
Okay.
That was a pickup audio.
Mhm. Can you check if you can? Oh, Rebecca, can you listen to us?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can listen.
Opa. Rebecca, can you talk?
I'm talking. Can you hear me?
So Trump.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can
That's
see on
a-
Melissa's computer, sure.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna put my computer close to Kate, so Kate
Really?
can.
I think the else, no. It's on. Look, it's on.
No, it's off.
It's off?
Uh,
Yeah, probably like-
What's the meaning of this blue button? It doesn't show
Yeah,
here.
no, it's definitely, no,
Hmm?
it's off now. When it's recording, it has not.
Oh. Okay. Well, Rebecca can help, so that's good.
It's fine, as long as you can record
Yes.
and we can post it.
Mhm. Okay, go.
Is there, if someone comments, they just say their name afterwards, so. put it in the minutes, that's just how
Mhm.
it's gonna cost.
So I'm gonna unmute mine, so because it's on your screen, you can talk about it.
All right. So again, just kind of some of the survey results.
I think it's the L that's muted, that's.
Okay, unmute. Unmute. Okay. Rebecca, can you hear Kate now?
She got unvaccinated.
I could hear her. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
okay, we are good.
Back in business. Okay, so breakdown generally of where people stayed, right? You can see that hotels are kind of the main contender there. Where people came from, vast majority were Utah and Colorado.
Well,
Can you just go back to that other slide?
Yeah. Maybe.
Um, Yeah. Campground. Online.
And again, with our sample size, I would almost expect to see some things that look kind of wonky just because we've got 50 people out of a whole lot more. So not real representative. The focus here is more just on this tool that we're developing and the information that. Where did you travel from? The thing that I'll say here about the tool is I broke it out by region and then I gave a write-in option and then everybody wrote in their state. So if I had to edit that, I would not allow people to write in state. Like I'm from Wisconsin and it would be like, I'm not from the Midwest, but I'm from Wisconsin, right? So again, test balloon on the survey. Spending categories. This was one where Melissa actually asked me to add in spending categories. So partway through, everyone was saying 1,000 plus, but people came to the expo to spend and to purchase Jeep parts. So this category is actually 4,000 plus, but it was added in late. So you could probably say the numbers are a bit higher than that. A lot of repeat visitors at that expo.
wow.
Everybody had grand old time, as it were. I actually had a second section that if they were to say below average rapport, it would open up with reasons that they could check off as to why, if people weren't maybe having the best visitor experience. But with this survey, we didn't actually have the opportunity to deploy that section because pretty much everyone had very positive things to say about their trip. Okay, so let's get into some of the other data that we have available to us through this dashboard. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is Placer.ai, and what that is mobile visitation data. We're going to look at 3 examples over Jeep Safari Week. So we're going to look at Old Spanish Trail Arena, City Market, and then Arches National Park. The way that Placer works is they collect mobile phone data from a panel. So if it's below 50 phones in an area, they throw it out. If it's over 50 phones, they can use it to essentially generalize a visitor base. So if they're saying, for example, I don't know, like X thousand of people visited Arches National Park, they didn't count every one of those phones. It's that they had a big enough sample of mobile phones that they were able to extrapolate that data and kind of predict the actual visitorship. There is a 3 to 5% margin of error. So just be aware of that when you're looking at the data, but we can break it out by just visitors. So Placer can actually figure out your phone's home location, and we can filter out people who actually have a home location within Grand County and just look at visitors. Yeah.
But what about all the people that live here that have
So it's
other
actually,
phone numbers?
we've,
Question I asked
yeah,
you.
we've
First of
talked
all,
about
like,
that.
This is, listen to this answer before you look.
So it actually figures out where your phone spends the night.
Oh, okay. Oh, look at that.
Don't be scared right now.
Don't tell my wife.
Yeah.
Discussing caveats. One caveat with Placer is that it does not include any international. So it could be a good judge for domestic visitation, but not international visitation. So just to look at what some of this kind of shows. So that's OSTA's visitation for the month of March. You can see pretty clearly when the Jeep Safari Expo was, right? Another way that we can look is City Market. So the 2 arrows, the first one is Jeep Safari last year, and then the second arrow is the week of Jeep Safari this year. So you can kind of compare a bit year over year. It looks slightly up, at least according to the City Market visitation.
And this is strictly off of cell phones, right?
Yep. This is all mobile phone data.
Okay.
We can also look at deviation from a baseline trend. So you could look at median visits over a set period of time. And again, the red arrows are showing your Jeep Safari moves. So deviation from the mean. We can also use that phone's home location to develop a heat map of where our visitors are coming from. So there's your City Market visitors, and this is just for the week of Jeep Safari where folks were from. You can also break it out by census blocks. So there's a few different ways we can play with that data.
It means there's one guy in North Dakota telling everyone how great Jeeps are.
And then the same type of view for Arches. So again, you've got your arrow showing Jeep Safari. That's kind of a benchmark for visitorship generally, and kind of show year over year. Again, this one is deviation from median, so you can see it in the winter, right? You've got that dip in visitation, whereas we're starting to recover a bit now. And then there's your heat map for Arches. You've got more red just because there are more visitors, obviously, the Arches and the rest. Because it's that same week, it's just limited to the Jeep Safari week. But we can change this for different time periods. And then one question that came up is, are we able to tease out crossover visitation between Arches and Canyonlands? And the answer is kind of. So what I've done here is compare the 2 locations. And if you look, the red box in Canyonlands is saying the percent of visitors that week at Canyonlands who also went to Devil's Garden or Delicate Arch, right? So according to this, at least that week, roughly 18 to 20% of folks who were at Canyonlands also made a trip to Arches. It's a little bit trickier to do it in the other direction because the way that Placer has their points set up, there are a lot more locations within Canyonlands. So you can see if you hear there's like Grandview Point, Mesa Arch Trail, Mesa Arch itself, a People Dome. It's a little bit easier to do Canyonlands to Arches as opposed to vice versa. Okay, so let's move away from mobile phone data and talk about some of our lodging. So the first data source that we're going to look at is STR. which does occupancy, so how many rooms had people in them, and then average daily rate. The way this works is hotel census. So essentially, it's as good as however many hotels answer that census information.
Is there any, what kind of hotels? Provide that information. Yes, we have a list, but I don't believe Red Cliffs provides that.
I mean, we don't, but I can tell you that on the STAR report that we can see that there's 48 properties participating in STAR in Moab.
Yeah.
Which is not all of them.
No,
Yeah.
which is, but it's right, it's outside, right, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, is
I
it-
mean, I would say that's probably, I mean, if it's a branded hotel, it's in STAR.
Right.
So
Well,
you're
you
not
go-
gonna have, the Gonzo Inns, you're not gonna have
Right.
the Rustics, the Bighorns. Prior to this, we weren't in there, you know,
We'll go in there.
we're in there now, so we're reporting in.
So you can see occupancy climb pretty steeply in March. The green line is this year and the yellow line is last year. So we're up a bit for occupancy, at least in this data source year over year. And then average daily rate is up year over year as well. We can also look at lodging through the lens of short-term rentals. This is a different data source. The way that this data source works is it scrapes online travel agency sites and property management sites looking for short-term rentals, and then it basically pulls all of that information together. So we've got, again, occupancy and ADR. This also shows revenue per available room, which is basically the total amount taken in divided by how many rooms were available, whether or not they had beds and beds. So as you can see for March, occupancy is down a little bit overall. ADR and revenue per available room are up.
Which, that's the data point where we said we were getting some survey data that maybe vendors were finding it expensive. Again, not thinking causation, but good to know.
But can I ask this though? I mean, so Jeep Safari Week last year was the first week of April.
Yeah.
So are those numbers comparative to this week last year? Or, I mean, because it's easy to say year over year, we're up, but the reality is Jeep Safari and Easter wasn't until the 9th. Yeah.
Which I think we,
Yeah.
absolutely, you gotta point that.
And we can try to do a data pull that lines that up.
Okay.
I can make myself a note.
That is a really torturous road to go down,
Yeah.
because Easter is going to change every year, and there's nothing you can do about it, and Jeep Safari is going to move all over the place, and it's going to be a lot of variables from weather to when other places besides Utah have spring break. I used to work on this for Albright when we did it in the spring. and
Yeah.
It's just a fly mark, and you can't help it unless you call them up.
We can try.
I mean, next year it's gonna be on April 20th, just so everybody knows.
So it's going to be.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, maybe so much.
Makes
I
no
was just gonna
sense.
say, I mean, can I just, instead of going like, week over week, can we just go, a little bit broader, timeframe to cover the first Jeep Safari and the, or the first Easter, basically following the moon phase. Just that data set from the earliest Easter to the latest Easter.
Easter can be anywhere from March, so.
Yeah.
The goal is to turn it on and, now it's on. I mean, it's great. We can ask these questions and we're looking at them.
Yeah.
So,
And then this is just showing some longer term trends for the same things that we've been talking about. And it's a little bit tricky to see, but that kind of light teal line is this year. And the interesting thing that stood out to me for these last two graphs were we're pretty up year over year already, but if you look, it actually peaks a bit later in the year, right? So like these peaks happen more like April. So it'll be interesting to see in the next month or two what happens to our 2024 line. Yeah. Okay, so That's just a quick overview of some of the data that we've got available to us and things that we can do with it. As far as moving forward, we have a lot of other data sources available. They vary in terms of granularity. So some of them we can get down to the county level and we can actually look like, okay, what's employment in Grand County, right? Whereas others, we can only go down to the state level or potentially the national level if we're trying to benchmark to like what's happening for the statistic nationwide. But we can look at TSA data, visa visitor spending, although I mentioned there's a little bit of a delay in reporting with that. TRT revenue, labor statistics, you got traffic counters. The in-house survey that I mentioned as we continue to develop that and deploy it. Numbers from NPS, VLM. I mean, we've looked at Chem Gardner numbers, Headwater economics. There's all this data. So moving forward, I guess things that are on my plate are trying to develop a report template that's pretty much the same on a recurring basis, right? So maybe it's like, here are the long-term trends. Here's a snapshot for where we are right now, so that as we continue to present to the stakeholders, they get used to that format, right? So you can kind of just focus on the numbers as opposed to like, well, what does the report look like this time? I think also developing, as we do more of these reports, a trend comparison can be really important. So I think year over year is something to look at. I think comparing to 2019 to see a pre-COVID level, if available in the data, is important. But I also think if we can get data that goes a few years further back, that could help us establish a bigger trend line so we could see a little bit more where we are at longitudinally. That is pretty much what I've got. My email's on the screen, so if you want to take a picture of it, if you have questions that you'd like to email me, or if you've got, I mean,
Would you
to
share
share.
the presentation?
Sorry.
Could you share the?
Yes.
presentation?
And I, with the technology, I don't know how much more time we have available, so.
Questions, anyone?
First of all, I'll just say thank you very much.
Okay, very good.
The other thing, one comment, and maybe you saw this, you see it too, but in the events world, you get a 60% better response to surveys if you do the survey when people are checking in or at the registration. So if we can get a tool that we can take to events and, maybe like with the QR code or, maybe an intern with an iPad, but if we could get the line going into sign up and get that survey data, we might actually get some material data. This right now, like we said, we're just testing the process. We don't have any sign up to get this.
So can I ask some questions? Can you show us where this lives? Like when this is originally sold to the board and we approved it, it was because it was supposed to be accessible to the broad public. And then that kind of morphed. And I think the question is if I'm at Gonzo Inn and I want to do a comparison set of what my occupancy is versus people who are in Star, and I'm not reporting in Star, I don't have that available to me. So where does this live and who has access to the board?
Our website, right?
So there's a few different places. I can show some of them. So right now, let me check this a little bit so I can.
You're not sharing your screen.
I know, I'm gonna pull it up and then
Okay.
reshare. So right now, some of the widgets from the dashboard are on the Grand County Economic Development website. That is a work in progress. I think there are more things that we could be sharing that are currently on there. And it's a matter of figuring out what stakeholders would most like to see, and what we can share in a way that makes sense. So let me show you guys that.
Because our start line was not there. The dashboard.
I get that.
It was not, we did not like that.
No, I get that. It's just I feel like we were told one thing and that's not happening, right?
Yeah.
So and it's fine if it needs more time to develop, I'm fine with that. From our, I think, and I don't want to speak for everybody on this board, but for me personally, I want to be able to use this as a tool to go, okay, this was our marketing budget. We threw this amount of money behind whatever program this was. What does the data show? And will this help that or will this hinder that?
Yeah, so, and I think, again, you all have my email, so if there are specific things that you'd like to see or that would be really helpful, definitely let me know and I can see what's shareable, essentially. But as a start, it looks like there are already some widgets from the dashboard that are on the economic development website. You got short-term rentals. And you can change the view on some of these.
So what page is this on? I'm sorry.
Grand County Economic Development.
And then what tab do I need to go to?
It's just when you get onto the EDD page, it's
Okay.
the first thing that you can see.
First thing is gonna be this.
Yep.
Okay.
So county departments, economic development, and then scroll down and you can start to see some of it.
Okay.
Just started your government on the Grand County, Utah website.
Yeah, it took me a minute to find it when I was looking for it.
Yeah, I think I just send you the link.
It was under the economic development.
Maybe we could put on the, when you pull up Grand County, it says.
Link to dashboard.
Mhm.
It's kind of what I was getting at, because it took,
Yeah.
it was like looking.
Yeah,
at ones,
people,
look for like,
People still notice the travel council. I
Right.
mean, there's just so many variables. People can find.
I mean, it's a great tool. I just think we need to advertise better.
Yeah, and I think too, once we build it out. So visitor insights, where people are coming from, how long they're staying, this is domestic visitorship. Spending, but again, talking about that delay, sorry. go ahead.
No, this is beyond for chamber members, you know, about, I mean. We can ask people to hear when they call it.
yeah, I think just having that link on like. the
Yeah,
home
but
page.
maybe you guys did,
Yeah.
so they go to the link, somehow,
Yes.
so people go to the homepage, and there's something that tells them how to get to this.
Yeah.
Rather than having, needing to know to
Yeah.
go to,
The directions.
because many people would know.
Yeah, most people don't even know this exists.
What?
Most people don't even know. And like to ask them to go through like 3 different clicks to get to this. Yeah.
For sure. So you guys can see there's some information there already, some stuff we did share, so Placer, our contract, like I can get in and do screenshots of data pulls that I do. But unless you're one of the folks in our department who has a logon, you can't actually like manipulate as much.
Right.
STR data, I think is similar in that we can share out aggregate data, but kind of the backside of all the census responses, not as much. So it just kind of depends on the specific data source as to how, in what format essentially we can share it out.
Okay. So if they can't figure it out, I mean, by they, I mean, any stakeholder, they should reach out to you.
Yeah, our office.
Yeah,
We'll
okay.
try to find it.
And if there is a question that comes up, that maybe they can't easily answer based on the widgets that are on the website, I think we can probably work on our end to try to answer it as well.
Or go chase the answer down. Which places we can go.
So there's a broader dashboard with a login that some of us have that I use to pull data for this report.
Okay.
But I don't know that anyone, like stakeholder wise, I don't know who has that login outside of the department.
Yeah, and we try to be really transparent, but I will tell you, I learned this, it's a strategic plan. There are some data sets that we try to share that we have to be very careful, like we're not allowed to. It's a contract. Some of that Symphony data and some of those things because we've gotten to stop it. Hey, stop, don't push the send button. So, like, whoa, it's up this county business.
May I ask that on the Discover Moab website or link?
We want a link, but Discover Moab's gonna be changing here pretty soon, probably with the changes we have, and it's pretty busy, so Discover, I mean, we maybe put a link, but Discover Moab, we gotta tell them what the function is. That's more,
Same there in like social media, would be nice just to have. Like a button that we're talking about, but that homepage is kind of universal.
well, get them all development work.
We're the travel council, okay?
Yeah.
So,
This is economic. But it's travel economic.
This doesn't have anything to do with that, but what you just said about Discover Moab,
has me concerned. We're not getting rid of it. are we?
No, 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 no.
Okay,
No, no, no.
because that is a
No, no,
huge
wait.
tool we use.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
we're just maybe bringing it up to a little more modern model.
Any other questions for Kate? No? All right, Kate, thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much.
That was amazing.
Thanks.
Okay, Fountain Tour Strategy, Miss Melissa Stock.
Okay. I need to share my screen. Hmm. Oh, God. Okay. What is doing? Okay, can you see my screen? Oh. Let me see on the YouTube.
Rebecca, can you say?
Let me see on the YouTube. Yes,
Yes, I can see it.
okay. So, well, I'm gonna talk about today about the FAM tours, familiarization tours here in MOA. So this is a graphic that is provided by the state. How is the international life cycle? So I would like to start with a co-marketing opportunities. Most of you guys know what's the co-marketing. That's the campaigns that we apply and we support the half match grant with the state. So this year we have 1,000 almost 300K provided for this marketing campaign. And it's start running this campaign actually this month. And then we have the media coverage product development. Then it go all the way to increase the consumer awareness and visitation. This is when we go out of the country, and that's the international mission, and we connect with all those agencies, travel agencies, product managers, bloggers, influencers. And then this is when they come to MOA. So that's what we call the familiarization tour. Because they come and they would like to see what's the product and the service that we provide in this town. So the primary market that the Utah Office of Tourism have for this year is Canada, China, Australia, India, France, UK, Germany. And as a second market, we have Ireland, Belgium, Netherlands, Switzerland, Austria, and Mexico. We have three different type of FAM tour. We have the travel trade, that is the tour operators, the consumers, that is the travel agencies, and the PR, the journalists, the freelancers, media companies. Last year, from 38 familiarization tour provided from the Utah Office of Tourism, 20 they came to MOA. And you guys can see that it was part of people from United Kingdom, Australia, Germany, China, India, Canada, Denmark, Mexico, France, and Netherlands. So I want that you guys remember this face of this guy, because that's a famous guy in UK. So before I'm gonna present something interesting is, Ben asked me that we need to start tracking our FAM tours. What's the value of the FAM tours? Why we need to have a partnership with them, or the business, and why the businesses need to have a partner also. So I'm gonna open this, and of course I will share with you guys later. This is a spreadsheet. So this is all the FAM tours that they came last year. We have from Australia, from Canada, from China, but I'm gonna focus for the UK. So these people that they were in that picture that I mentioned, that I showed before, they came on March. It was five persons from different companies from UK. Oops. Okay, so okay, is that they partner with this again, Discover MOA, and they what counties were part of this farm tour, Salt Lake, Weaver, Utah, and Grant. How they came to MOA? So they arrived in Salt Lake, and they Department of Solar. What type of farm tour do we have? It's a medium. And then this is the link also that is provided by the state, because we would like to know the itinerary of these people, what they are doing here in Utah. So you guys can see that, for example, in what hotel do they stay in, but I'm gonna focus right now in MOA. So they came, for example, they came on March 31st to Ellicott Arch. They have an adventure tour guide, lunch. So you guys can see all that, where did they went. They have a tour in Canyonlands by night. So you guys can see all that. So this is very important to understand how they visit MOA. And then, yeah. So this is the dinner that I have. So I hosted these guys, and we have a dinner. It was a fantastic dinner. I learned a lot. But coming back to my presentation, oh, sorry. So the most value thing that I didn't know and I didn't understand was the value of the farm tour until Ben asked me and said, hey, Melissa, what's the return of investment of this farm tour? So I start tracking. So for me to have a dinner with them and buy some lunches boxes for them, it was $395 for 5 people. That was the cost for our Grand County. The value for each individual will be $2,000. Why? How are we measure this? This is the way. Let me put this here. So if we open one of the, for example, the
Real ROI is 10,000.
so for example, BBC, that guy that was over there is in charge of the BBC Sky at Night. He's a journalist. So what we are doing right now, let's see if the internet is a high resolution PDF. So the internet is not showing. But we have a lot of content here about arches, the dark sky arch, Canyonlands, the amazing, how MOA it is. Unfortunately, the link is not working, but I would like to show that to you guys. Let me see if I can open this
You
one.
said this one was a media fam, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me see if I can open here, this one. Okay, yes. So you guys can see this picture, how much would cost to have that picture? Probably $200, $300. Yeah, the internet is not helping. But that's how we are starting to understand that.
It's gonna cost you a lot more than $200 or $300.
Yeah, probably.
Based on running full page ads in just local publications, it's $4,000 or $5,000 for full page.
So yeah, so we are start tracking that. And like I say, in this page, I also have the participants. So we're gonna focus right now in the UK because we are using UK as an example. So we see that it was one farm with 5 people. So it's one farm with one farm with 5 people. So they went to Canyonlands, to Josie White, to Red Rock Astronomy, and Love Muffin. Who participates? So when I say participate, who pay for that? The Canyonlands pay for that. Grant County pay for Josie Wyatt dinner. Utah Office of Tourism pay for Red Rock Astronomy, and the Grant County paid Love Muffin. So that's how we start tracking our familiarization tours. But we want to be more successful. So we want to implement a process with 5 phases. So the first will be the preparation. because we need to know the object, the target, the content, the site tours, the pre and post tour engagement. And then we need to have the execution phase when the tours are in MOA, and then the follow-up when the tours left, and then measure the return of investment. And finally, we need to have a result. It is bad, it is good, and it's excellent. But the first phase, it will be the most important for us because this is gonna be the work of the Grand County. So this will be the objects, the target, the content, the site selections if they want to go to hotel, restaurants, tour guide, national park, cultural, events, gallery, retail, museum, the pre and post tour engagement. So the preparation, I can do webinar Zooms, they can check Discover More website, they can review the travel guide, they can check all the videos, the YouTube videos that we have, and the logistic. That's one of the most interesting parts to create itinerary, because if they're coming with the states, I need to partner with other counties and figure out how to create a whole way to come to MOA. And then the documentation and sharing is the follow-up. So I want to have the photos, video. Also, I would like to have testimonial of these people. And the best way that I figured out is a couple weeks ago, a tour from friends were here. And it was coming kind of like separate from the state, but it was connected with the state. And it was 3 ladies from France, and they connect to me and they say, Melissa, the only thing that I would like from you is that you provide a dinner. I said, sure. Where are you guys gonna stay? They say, we're gonna stay in the casitas, but we would like to do some site tours. So they went to Sorrel, they went to Redcliffe, they went to the Hyatt, because they would like to, they want to see what's the product here in MOA. So that dinner, it was 3 ladies, we were, it was how much? Almost $300, but it was more, it was value for me because they were giving me some tips. Like one of the tips, it was, I asked, why is the European market not coming to the USA like before? That was one of my questions. And they say, it is too expensive, political issues, they don't feel welcome. Americans are cold. South America and Central America are doing strong advertising, welcome, events, music, color, parties. They say that we are boring. Japan was the last country to welcome international visitors and the first destination for the Europeans. The new generation followed the Japanese trends like music, food, culture, sushi. So I think sometimes when they say, oh, you need to go to an international trade show or international sales mission, yes, it's good because you connect with people over there. But I think if we want to have a return of investment, this is our return of investment, what they advertise about us. So that's what I have for you guys about funds. If you guys have any questions.
So are you gonna put together like a report on like what the impact was? Like, we spent this and this is where we got exposure and this is where we
Yes.
got-
Brian, I think we need to do something else. I think you know this from when we started. First thing that I heard, like, second day on the job, that you did was one of these family groups that said, oh, we went to Red Cliffs and they weren't ready for it. I didn't like it. I mean, it's like, I'm very nervous about going to the well and asking any provider to pay for a dinner or provide something. And then I came and talked to you, and the first question was, will you tip? They hadn't, so I was like, okay, bad taste in my mouth. But as I started understanding the spam to the smotherization, and people that wanted to participate, it's where we're broken is, and I learned this from one that Brian did, taking people from Germany down to Cataract Canyon, and then not realizing that someone made a video that at this point it's got over 200,000 hits. There was never a tie back. So I think from a couple familiarization years, that we've been gonna, a manager, that's not a new term for this, but we need to tie this back. So if Red Cliffs or Red Tail Air or someone provided something, there needs to be some vehicle, we come back and say, okay, that dinner that you provided, or those rooms at a discount, this was the article that was written. How did you get some ROI? Not just Grand County and Lowell, but the people that are actually pitching in and doing this, there's got to be something coming back. And one that we really referenced was that Cyclist UK article that came out in February, where basically they invented a new gravel road. But the picture portfolio alone is probably $8,000. The write-up, which included 5 vendors, including hotel, restaurant, how to get here, a beer manufacturer that I don't even know if I knew about that was local. I mean, there's huge return on where did that come from? I think it traces back to one of these tours in town. But where we haven't gone full circle is coming back to the people that ended up and said, yeah, we'll help you with this, and showing the return to them. I mean, if you're donating or discounting rooms or putting that in, there should be some kind of follow-up that says, oh, this is where it got covered in the media, or that someone signed up to it. So
Yeah.
the return has to be to the people that are pitching in.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, this return is not gonna be immediately. It will take like 6 months to create this magazine. It will
I
be
get
that
it. It
magazine
just-
for
I mean,
next edition or things like that.
my thing is, I think that that's the work of the PR company.
Mhm.
That's not the work of Melissa Stocks,
Sure, but
marketing.
this my follow-up.
No, I get that you're the one that would follow up with it, but the PR company is the one that's gonna have the access, they're gonna have the ability to say, this
This is bad.
this article in this publication normally goes for this.
Mhm.
And that's why, once again, I think just further adds to the need for a PR and marketing company outside of what we do to track this stuff, because I do think that's one of the things that's missing. I don't think anybody in Moab is opposed to pitching in and helping out when we want to bring business here. It's, that part of it, I think, is far, even for us. I mean, we could approach nonstop all the time. And if we didn't have our PR company to be like, here, like I sent that attachment today, simple thing. Here's where the hit, here's where you're at, here's the readership. It further goes in and says, this would cost you, if you wanted to pay for it, here's the value. But that's the stuff I think that people, particularly on this board, would like to see. And particularly the business owners that are in town, to see what they're getting would help tremendously.
I did Brian just to kind of make this process a little bit more like a RFP process. Like if, this PR company sends out an RFP, like, hey, this group is coming in town in March, and then you tell them what they're going to be reporting on or like talking about, like, oh, Brightail wants to do that, or else like if they're giving you, mountain bikers, I'm not gonna offer my services, but if they're rocking out near people, I'm not offering like a bike probably, or like you have other businesses compete for that, and we try to show them the best that Moab has to offer, and I will be willing to give away.
We'll have to show you how the request went. It's a great idea, the request on time.
Yeah, and the other thing is we cannot select one hotel. I cannot do that. So I try to reach as much as hotels who wants to participate, give a discount or complimentary rooms. And these are few ones that they would like to participate. And I understand that, but we cannot pick the business. That's not part of the government. I mean,
So then how's it get determined?
Yeah.
What is the process then?
If it's our process, will lead to that like other process.
I can't say, just like when people are coming to shoot a project here sometime in some world, I can't say you need to stay at this hotel, this hotel. I give them all the
all the
I can't say
hotel
you should eat at
alternate.
this restaurant
Yeah.
or this restaurant, I give them all the restaurants. Do I have my flavors and what I like? Yes, but the recommendation isn't specific because you have to share it.
A couple examples. So for
All of it.
a lot of times you don't get much one. A lot of times they tell you what they want. A lot of times they'll tell you where they want to stay.
Yep.
And like, no, and we want to stay here. We want you to pay for it. Like, no, here's some places you can stay, and here's what the cost is, and maybe we'll buy you dinner. We for a long time have been the last stop And I don't know if you feel this way, Melissa, but I did start out like Moab will pay for these guys to finish off the trip. Grand County is, that's the pre-stop at the end of the line. That's where everyone wants to go. You know, we're gonna dial this back.
So that was the feeling until I asked state to provide me who are participating. So other counties are paying. And I asked the other directors, I say, are you guys paying for this? They say, yeah, Melissa, our budget for funds are $25,000, $20,000. Like even San Juan County, their marketing budget, it's small, but the farm tour budget is the biggest budget that they have for marketing. So I'm gonna start talking with different counties and that's the result.
Can we at least make sure, like you said, you can't pick who they are, but can we at least make sure that they're local outlets?
Sure.
Absolutely.
I looked
Sure.
at who's it, the UK you just went in, and then the Southwest Adventure Tours that did all of the market, or did all the tours. So now we're providing all of this, yet this is St. George and Kidney Bennett.
Boom.
No,
Right, because that's a common thing that's based out of St. George, so.
Yeah.
That's why we want to put this out there.
That would be like if we said, let's do a trip down Cataract Canyon, and we have an outfit from Green River run that through, and it's, you know, it's Grand County.
Yeah.
So when they say, hey, we want to do a bike tour, you guys are just giving them all the bike tour companies, you're not.
I did, yeah, like that. Here is what's available. This is my list on Discover MOA. This is what we have. But most of the time, because they have the connection, or that's what they listen and that's what they want to promote, they pick.
I mean, so I get that there's no way you could do as many factors as you get for $200,000. Last year, it's just not possible. But if they're coming to you with a specific request, like, we want to stay at Sorrel Ranch. Like, does anyone reach out to Sorrel Ranch and go, hey, they want to stay with you, but you need to pay for it?
Absolutely.
Yes.
No, we try and thread it. We're not a travel agency per se for, and I get very nervous about going to the well. Like, I don't want to come ask anyone for something free. You know, so what I'm trying to say is there's got to be buy-in. There's a lot of people say, no, we want to be part of this. And I think what you're saying, but the thing is, where's the ROI? And we're no longer, I mean, I go back to that first experience. You know, we showed up and Brian wasn't waiting for us. And,
Yeah, because you
we're
showed up
not-
3 hours late at 10
Exactly,
o'clock when the
exactly.
restaurant closed.
Exactly.
So,
I
So-
just had a project that reached out to me about actually filming at Sorrel River specifically, because I the look that they want. And I reached out to the general manager there and I said, are you interested in talking to them about this photo shoot? Yes. Do they want to stay here? I don't know if they want to stay there, you know, your pricing, he said they're from the UK. Yeah, I'm from the UK. Well, that is not our biggest market. So actually, the owner of Sorrel might not want to have to help, you know, discount the rooms because they are a UK based thing. So it's just, you know, it's like one of those, is the ROI going to be good enough for them? You know, they'll end up staying somewhere in town because they won't stay there. They're still going to shoot.
yeah, I mean, I guess my point is, as long as the ask is being made.
Yeah.
You know, that's really it. It's gonna,
Absolutely, the ask is out there.
yeah, so,
I mean, part of the thing is Grand County is not going to pay for a lot of people to come in for free.
yeah,
It's not-
we don't have it in the budget, right?
Yeah,
Which
okay,
is understandable.
I just think if you manage it on a website, request for proposal, like I get to make the decision as right to where I don't host them. And so like like even like Grand County might not have the
Yeah.
funds to host them, but like I can make that and I reach like this request for proposal goes out to all the businesses that sign up for it, and then it's up to them to reach out to that.
So when it's up to potentially, the tech,
Yeah.
will pay for rooms.
Like I want this person here, Grand County might not see it as that, but I do as a business, so I could. I'm gonna have this one website or like this form on it, just who can sign up and then to receive these forms, and then the business is gonna make sense.
So I think that's a really good idea, and I think that when we, eliminating of our budget that we're going to study, to talk about, because you know who matters to you.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like the best.
One question I have, so other counties are finding this so important, they're making it a huge part of our budget. And I'm sorry, this has probably been answered in previous meetings, so why are we
feeling like it's not as important.
Yeah, that's quite the opposite. I'm saying this isn't important. That's why we're showing this. This is-
I mean, but we're not
This is
going
our-
to spend the money on.
No, I'm saying this is our high ROI for less spend. We're not, no, absolutely, I totally understand. It's just, we want to get better from front to end up. We don't just front end, but we understand what's coming out the back. Like, we know what the article's being written, we start understanding what we got out of doing it.
So
But that's a very important, this
Are
is a
there
big
times
part.
that we do pay for the whole thing?
There's been small groups. I will tell you, I'll show you some of the requests. None of them, these are not generic requests. They're all different. It's
Mhm.
just, you have, and what, the other thing I want to try and do is have us involved some way in the familiarization. So it's one thing to just set it up and connect the dots. Oh, we've got these people in rooms or something, but if someone like Melissa or someone from our office can be part of the visit or part of the discussion, that is hugely valuable. The ability to go have that conversation. Why aren't you coming to the, where are your tour groups going? That's huge for us. So, but it's absolutely a very important part of that. It's, and like Melissa started out, it's important to maybe go to a travel trade show or be part of an international sales mission, but if we can start bringing people here. For instance, we have a market coming, Utah's trying to get the Chinese here.
So for this year, we have UK, China, and I'm still working probably with the Indian market. They want to come to Moab. And we have money on the farm tours since last year, because 3 years ago, 4 years ago, they canceled 0. The commissioner put 0 for farm tour. But we changed the direction, so now we start having money and it's approved by commission, so.
Yes, it's definitely important.
So what, I guess most of the question is, what is your ask from us? Is this just an FYI or are specific asks that you need from us?
No, I think I would like that you guys participate if I have the opportunity, like if they want to go to Red Cliff, Freefield.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree with Jenny, though. I think the RFP process is hugely important
Mhm.
because that way you can post it on Discover Moab or the county site, whatever. And here's the opportunities that we have coming forward, and people can actively look for what's coming.
Mhm.
And then, first, back to Brian's point, right? Like keep it local rather than having a Green River or St. George
Mhm.
company. Like, I don't know many businesses in Moab that wouldn't jump at an opportunity like that,
Sure.
you know, but if they don't know about it, they don't know about it.
So as far as some of us that don't have a business that we could participate in, what about as far as like our board members? If you have something coming up and when you need someone to accompany it, can you send an email out and say, hey, we've got this fan tour coming up on this day, they're going up to Arches, would you like to go with them? Something like that.
That would be great. Yeah,
How are you guys on?
yeah,
So
I think
welcome
that's-
back. Absolutely.
that's
You know,
value.
One thing we want to show, this is an important way to do this. That is very cost effective. So, yeah, obviously, you can come back with one.
One of the best places to get vetted, entries, right, is getting the applications. Right, the person that calls you out, that's someone who's kind of looking for something, someone who's invested in his own scholarships. They're gonna need the votes, right, but that's where you're gonna find the people that are, already vetted, that are ready to go. In fact, a lot of scholarships actually make sure that actually vet them before they even allow them to show.
I mean, we're bringing some user groups in that do not come through the state. We are very much set up as a town. And taking it forward, which will report absolutely
What do you mean by use of?
different travel, bigger groups that are coming here to participate. That I will talk about after the.
Dun, dun, dun. Let's move on to the next one then. Sizing the wedding market opportunities in Grand County. Sorry,
Is there anything we could like speak to maybe, is there anything that needs to go?
I don't think, yeah, we're gonna get through all this. We're not in 15 minutes.
we're gonna have to defer quite a bit of this.
So like Ashley's here visiting.
Yeah.
We'll come back to the way, we'll just send that.
So let's go right to Ashley then.
I'm gonna talk really fast.
You have -3 minutes. No, go ahead.
I'm Nancy Kornblatt. I own the West Beach Spirit Cycling, and about 10 years ago, we started a nonprofit called Public Land Solutions. And what we do is we work with communities that are seeking to add outdoor recreation to their economic development strategies. So we do two things. One, we work directly with the communities on the ground, and we work on the state and federal policies that affect them. So in the category of what happens on the ground, the first thing that we do when we go into a community is have a bunch of stakeholder meetings to say what's going on here, who comes here, what do people do here, what have you got, you know? And we work with communities that are mature recreation economies that have too many visitors sometimes, that challenge of overcrowding. And we also work with ones that coal-fired power plant is closing on a date certain, and they know they're going to lose a bunch of jobs, and they're trying to start to plan for what's going to happen to their town. So what I learned from that work is that you really have to understand your visitor. And I feel like sometimes it's really easy with all the data that you can get in today's world, right? And especially from digital marketing and this idea that you can put something out there and find out how much it costs and get a price. It cost me $50 to get that customer, 50 cents or whatever. Like there's all this feedback that you can get. But I think what Moab is really has the opportunity to do is, and we have this visitor survey coming up through the Kathy Ritter project. We need to know a lot more about who comes here and why. And I think the Jeep Safari thing was a good start. I think this piece that Kathy Smith was really important. But I'm going to make some predictions, which may or may not be right. But I think that 40 to 60% of the people who visit Moab would be insulted to be called a tourist. I think there's a chunk of people that are tourists. They picked between Paris, Vegas, Moab. You know, there are tourists, and those people are, you know, you look at visitor surveys, and one of the categories is sightseeing, and the other next category is hiking. So if you pick sightseeing, you really are not in for the outdoor adventure. It's a little bit different type of market, right? And if you pick OHV or rafting or whatever, then that's a whole different thing. And so where I'm going is those people who wouldn't want to be called tourists, they would rather be called pilgrims or badasses or something, or want to be badasses. Like they are adventure seekers in a category that they have spent money and time to learn about. Boating, biking, climbing, whatever it is. And I think they make up at least 50% of our visitors. So, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's 40, but whatever that percentage is, they're a really big chunk. So so we have these two big categories. Sightseers who are sort of more normal tourists, they're going to go do, like they didn't necessarily bring any special equipment with them to Moab. They just brought themselves. They brought the same thing they would take to Paris in the summer or whatever. See where I'm going? So, but if we want to attract more of both category, and we want to do it in a way that the other piece that I think is really important, back up 1 second. There's a conversation now happening in town that is very much on the continuum that goes more advertising equals more business. And that's good for the businesses, but it's not good for the town for some reason. Like it's like there's this idea that quality of life and protecting the backcountry is on one end of the spectrum and growing businesses is on the other. And everyone's looking at it on this continuum. Like that's super oversimplified and not true. You can grow your business categories. You can grow climbing, you can grow mountain biking, you can grow sightseeing. But you need to look at what are the sightseeing products that we have available. What are the climbing opportunities? What are the biking? And then work through those categories to better communicate with that community, that category. So sightseeing, for example, you know, our big site is Arches, right? And Canyonlands a little bit. But if we look at how can we expand the sightseeing? You don't need special equipment. You don't need to sign up Like it's more regular tourism. What are the other things that we can do? And sure, there are outfitters that provide driving tours and the boating. There's sort of some crossover here, right? But so how do you incentivize the sightseers to do a little bit more, to go down a half-day river trip, to go do, so yeah, but yeah, exactly. But so learning more about these categories, and this is what this piece talks about, is just learning more about these categories. If you want to communicate, if you really want more people to come to Moab, you need to pay attention to the product mix, not just the market. So, and this is a really big, if you look at the tradition of tourism across Western states, it's very typical for the Western state tourism folks to be like, come to South Dakota, or come, like they do this macro big tourism push and they don't care. Like when the Mighty Five came out, they didn't even talk to the National Park Service. So there's a big disconnect between the marketing people and the product development people, i.e. the land managers. But the communities that are winning in this game have a really good relationship with their land managers and their marketing. And so they're making sure, like, we have new mountain bike trails coming online south of town sometime the next year. Yeah, pretty soon. Well, they haven't started, but anyway. But when they do, we need to be using the bike companies in town to tell the bike community about that, right? But there are other categories too that we can work on. And I think sightseeing, the example I give is if we change the name of the Sandflats Road, we don't change the whole name, but if we called it Petrified Sand Dunes and we said, go check out the Petrified Sand Dunes, they'd go through the gate, they'd go up there, you could have a little walk that goes from the existing Sandflats parking lot to a high point right there. They could see the Jeepers and the bikers going around. That would be something that someone who doesn't have special equipment, that's not coming here to test their ability climbing, could do. So I just think we need to learn more about, I think there's a great opportunity to learn more about our visitors, think about each category, and then spend some of all this energy and marketing and fam tour money and all these pieces a little more targeted to these groups. Because I think that judging the return will be a little bit easier, but I also think it's important to recognize that the decision to travel is a really long-term decision. And on this wedding piece, for example, we might get the word out and somebody might hear, wow, I could have my wedding in Moab. Well, we don't know when they're going to meet the love of their life or when they're going to, but if they've heard about it, that decision timeframe is really long. So, anyway, so Ben and I I've been serving on the Economic Development Committee. I serve on the Chamber Board, and I've just been, hearing, when we start to go down, everybody starts to, I feel like we're looking for some kind of smoking gun in the past, and when we go, oh, that's where we went wrong. But I actually think we need to stop driving, or, not focus entirely on driving by looking in the rearview mirror, but also looking at how can we better communicate with our visitors and really use the expertise we have in town. So if you say, okay, on the OHV front, Scott McFarland has a big community of people, and other people do too, that they work with. And if we say, okay, we're going to identify a Jeep Safari route that's as cool as Hell's Revenge or close enough. And we're going to say, if you've done Hell's Revenge in Moab, now you need to come back and do this. And so that, I've seen that really work in communities to use that user group to talk to their community, because they're all chit-chatting all the time, and it's a lot cheaper and it's more direct. It's instead of looking through all these people in the universe to find someone that wants to go jeeping in Moab, you're going directly to that community. That was kind of a lot. I tried to be fast. I'm happy to talk about.
One thing I hope you talk about is also the branding claims. For instance, mountain biking's been here for how many years? But Bentonville, who has a lot of Walmart grandchildren, is now claiming to be the mountain bike capital of the world, building very expensive trails. So,
but they don't compare to ours on the ground. Like, they're good for Northwest Arkansas, and I can say that because I'm from Arkansas. But they don't compare to Moab. And so, what are we doing in the cycling world to maintain our status? What are we doing in climbing? What are we doing in OHV? And then I feel like the tourism sightseeing people, it's a little bit different market. It's a different way to communicate to them, inviting them and what their experience is going to be. sure, there's some crossover, but there are a lot of people who come here in flip flops and don't change their shoes the whole time they're here. There's nothing wrong with those people. That's great. But that means they're not biking, climbing, you know, you have to change your shoes to go on those things. So it's just, it's really, it's going a level deeper into who comes here and why, and getting more specific about how we speak to them and utilizing these user groups that are already have all these talking happening amongst them, you know, to keep Moab in the door. Yeah.
I just personally feel this is already being done. I'm several different Facebook pages, you know, one with OHVs, one with, you know, they do that already. They tell people to come here and do other trails besides Hell's Revenge. DiscoverMoab.com gives the big picture of everything to do around here.
Sure.
The other thing is, you have to remember, there is already a petrified sand dunes in Arches. So if you're telling people to come look at the petrified sand dunes, are they gonna go, which one?
Sure.
No.
And
And as of Sand Flats, you can go hiking anywhere you want at Sand Flats. We tell people at the MIC every day, hey, you want a great hike, go out to Sand Flats. Go hike the practice group for Slick Rock. And Sand Flats has actually put in more, or actually marked more hiking trails. I mean, they're already trying to get more hikers in there. Just me personally, I think we're already doing most of these things.
Yeah, well, here's what I would say. From the mountain biking side, no mountain biker is going to find out what trails thrive through Discover Moab. They're going to Trail Forks. Like, there are these entities.
So they're already doing.
Well, are we telling Trail Forks about our trails? Are we telling Strava about our trails? Like, there are these more specialized sites and conversations and places on the web where these user groups and these
What do you have us do?
enthusiasts.
Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm
feel like
saying.
I'm saying
Those people are coming here and getting the information.
Yeah, but it's like an
Putting it out.
organic, like it's just people in that community talking about it. It's not us specifically marketing.
But see, I don't think we're using the expert. I think I appreciate Discover Moab. I think it's great. I think there are people that go there and learn about it. I think you're in the sightseer category. In the real passionate people who have spent $10,000 on a bicycle, have been working on their bike skills forever, and they want to come here and test their mettle in Moab. They aren't going to the MIC. They know what trails to go to. They already know that before. Well, I think that Kathy and the people doing this study should spend some time in the MIC and notice those. I think we should learn. I'm not saying I know everything, but I am saying that the communities that we've been working with across the West, and we did a recreation review for the whole state of New Mexico, that when you see a jump in visitors, Natarita, Colorado, they're in a world of hurt. And they are about to start building some trails. We worked with them on identifying places. And this is what I mean by product mix. Their BLM was like, yeah, we don't care about Natarita. They figured out we helped them figure out where to build trails that the BLM had to allow, right? And I'm going to wrap right up, but that had to allow, and people are buying houses in Natarita because we found a really great trail builder who's kind of famous to build those trails. People are building houses, buying houses in Natarita because they've heard about these trails are coming and they aren't even built yet. So I'm just going yes, you're right. Those things happen. Those websites are out there. Are they totally winning? No. Are we letting other people steal our brand and our market share because we're not going deep enough into these categories? Yes.
All right.
So what I'm hearing, I just want to check to see what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that I think I agree we're doing a whole bunch of advertising on the different things. What I'm hearing you say, we need to continue that. What we're doing is really good. But on top of that, we need to get a hold of organizations and magazines and websites and Facebook pages that are targeting a certain group, and then send that type of advertising just to them, because those people in that group aren't going to go to Discover Moab. They're not going to go. they're gonna go to where they know that they're gonna get the best information about what they love.
And
You
the
know,
great news is
that's
we
what, that's, is
have,
that what we're kind of saying?
Yes.
and we have those experts right here in town.
Yeah.
But there's a disconnect between the work this group is doing and and those expertise. And that's where it feels like there's an opportunity to reconnect those things. I think originally in Moab, they were more connected. And in these emerging towns, they are, but we've gotten how far away.
Wait, hold on, Shaylee had her hand up first. Huh?
I just also, are you also like asking us to expand our product mix?
I'm asking, I think that we have the opportunity, I think if you just think about any business owner knows that you gotta work on marketing and product mix, right? As tastes change, as consumer needs change, you change your product mix. So if all we're doing is really working on marketing, we're missing an opportunity to better enhance things. And so, yes, but it's not this group's per se's responsibility to change the product mix. But if you went to Scott McFarland and the OHB here's what he's gonna say. He's gonna say, I need more marked routes that have a famous name. I know we have the Jeep Safari routes, but we need to elevate them, fluff them up a little bit, make them current, update them a little bit, and make sure they're signed and marked on Onyx, because that's the mapping system that that community uses. And so if the county and the says, hey, Scott, what would help with OHB? And we look at, and he says, marking these routes, then that's new product development or fluffing up product development that would help attract that community.
So are you
So-
working with outfitters? Like, would you be working with like NAVTech and just like, so what would that connection be with
Sure.
outfitters or just with the board or?
So I'm not working with anyone in Grant County right now. I mean, I've been hired, our nonprofit has been working across the West, New Mexico, Montana, Colorado, wherever. And when the Kathy Ritter, I'm calling it Better Destinations proposal came up, we consciously decided not to apply for it because I felt like I was too close and I was really super curious what she was gonna do, to see someone else work on it. So I'm not working on anything right now.
But
And
would you, would you be working with outfitters?
if I was, in theory, the way this process works, absolutely. You work with existing outfitters, and in some places where there are no outfitters, we're recommending that the BLM puts out prospectus to get outfitters. So yes, outfitters are.
Make sure we include this in the strategic plan.
Well, I think I would say what I wanted Ashley to come here is just food for thought. Just start thinking these things. I'll give you an example. I believe me, no one disagrees more with Ashley a lot of times. We have very spirited debates, but we had coffee and I was like, the light started going off in my head. It was the influencer model. It was a bunch of things. But before I ever knew there was even an EDD job that I would have someday, my buddies and I would always come out to the Skinny Tire Festival. The big thing we all do is we all try and make a selfie video so that we will be the opening part of the GCN show, which is a cycling show out of the UK. Every year we tried, my buddy and I failed, but it was always some other people that were riding the Skinny Tire. You can go look at it. And it's welcome from the Skinny Tire in Moab, Utah at Dead Horse Point. There's probably 20 of us sending that video and trying to be the opening, but that's our influencer. If I watched the GCN show, which is this streaming show, and this was the light that started going off in my head talking to Ashley's. If I watch that, I know the routes to ride in Switzerland with my buddies. So I'll plan a trip over there, take my wife. That's a $5,000 trip to go say you rode up some silly big hill. But we're not tapping into that market. The Stravas, the guys that map these routes on your bike computer and stuff. That's easy, low-hanging fruit. And once you start seeing Bentonville, and Outside Channel has big 1-hour documentaries about Bentonville and the mountain biking. Meanwhile, they're showing the whole enchilada 10 minutes at a time. We should jump on this. Like, why aren't we the mountain biking capital or the birth of mountain biking? Or
But
I
we
don't
can be
know.
the capital for everything. It's another way to look at it is bucket list. Each category has their bucket list. And we want as many bucket list experiences in each category as we can possibly get. And we have some, but we can do better. We can do more. And I think it's that they see it from an influencer that they're like, how can you call yourself a mountain biker if you haven't ridden in Moab? And how can you call yourself a mountain biker if you haven't ridden the newest trails in Moab? And the same for climbing, paddling, all these categories. There's just an opportunity to better connect. And I feel like some outfitters are frustrated because, the mountain biking thing has gone really well here because of the 2008 BLM resource management plan that targeted 150 miles of purpose-built single track. So that has been new product coming online for the last, whatever that was, how many years. The other categories haven't gotten that kind of attention. So it's just an idea of how can we find ways to go deeper into these categories and really make sure that people who do on any given day, in Moab, Utah, it is highly likely that almost every piece of outdoor equipment ever invented is being used here. And we're not doing enough. I think there's a real opportunity, and then on top of everything, all the good work that we're doing, there's this opportunity to go deeper and to use the expertise we have in town to better communicate. That's great.
I think, Melissa, I know you've been patiently waiting. Did you have something you want to say?
No, I just want to mention that I know that the trail ambassadors, was how you call the department, of trail and transportation.
Yeah.
They are trying to connect with all trails to modify the trails, but it's a little difficult. It's not easy because this is a private company, and I have a few conversations with Maddie related to that, because most of the trails, sometimes of the trails, they are not accurate. But
yeah, but the data on
the yeah. So I think it's a little difficult for us to go all the way to that direction to modify with other apps that the community or the mountain biking community is using. I know that it's tough, but maybe we have a solution. Like one of the second solution that Maddie created, it was the Wonder app.
Yeah.
So that's the second solution. I know that probably the mountain bikers don't know that, but when they arrive to MOA, that's what we wanted to use.
Well, so hiking is especially hard because there are a lot of apps that aren't as the data, the crowdsourced data is not as good. Because hiking, it's like you're walking and you could be walking anywhere. It's not the same. Whereas the mountain biking data is really good because of the way Strava works. But so yeah, there are issues, and hiking is like a huge opportunity here. I mean, we think right now most of our hikes, if you have to name 3 hikes right now to send some intermediate hiker on, you're going to send them to Arches. But we have thousands of hikes that are not really marked. Where are you?
Yeah, because right now
so
9 times out of 10 they don't have a time reservation.
So where are you sending?
We send them to Corona or
some of the new Sand Flats ones. Yeah.
Sand Flats. I mean, especially until it gets too hot at Sand Flats, because when it's 100 degrees, it's too hot there.
Fisher Towers.
Fisher Towers.
Yeah.
Fisher Towers is the hard one.
But see, we have so many hikers here. We could be doing more. We could have 20 more hikes.
But I do want to tell you, I do bother my friends in South Dakota that actually build mountain biking trails and say, when are you coming out here and riding on some real mountain bike trails?
I think it's interesting too, like, I don't know, but like, how many different groups do you have?
I can just tell you that right now, the trend that we have is that things have actually switched from the market that you're talking about to soft adventure. I'd say 80% of our travelers are soft adventure.
Like Rocky Mountain?
Like Rocky Mountain, you have people who can afford the room rates that are in this town. The group you're talking about is definitely big on the club. I have both. I have soft adventure and I have hardcore. So I really get to see that happening over and over.
But you're
one
right.
of the things that I would kind of say though is to be careful on where you're pushing, right? Because Sand Flats is probably a best example, right? Anyway, like multi-use, right? Everything gets along just fine. One thing I find in this town is everything kind of goes in homeostasis, like just on its own, right? Like all the mountain bikers kind of go on this trail, like this is the best spot for us, and all the YouTubers kind of go over here, right? And I think one of our jobs here, your guys' job should be to kind of maintain our homeostasis, right? Like, let's not poke it too much, because if we poke it a little bit too hard, right, and we start sending all kinds of hikers up there to, like, say, sandflies or something like that, then we might mess up one of the best things that we have going.
That's a super good point, and definitely that's the kind of work that we do, is really think about where we would want to send people, what are the unintended consequences? Is this gonna be a problem if we did something different? And so, yeah, we definitely want to be aware of that, but I mean, the hardcore adventure market is growing, and if it's not growing in Moab, we need to be worried about that, because there definitely are plenty of people that want to come. I mean, they just had a race here with 400 guys that killed themselves, like, when lots of people doing, 3 days of really, really hard stage racing on some of our hardest trails. So, like, it's happening, it's just, we want to make sure, we want to capture as much of all these markets,
They're finding us kind of things.
but not, but we don't want Bentonville to steal it, that's the point, and that's what's happening.
So in the interest of time, respectful of times, I think we need to close the meeting if anybody wants to stay and continue to talk. I
We
find
can't,
this-
we can't, if there's more than a certain amount of.
No, I'm just saying if anybody wants to talk, they can.
I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming and all the good discussions. I really appreciate it.
And we can always improve.
Yeah, this is in the category of can of worms, let's open it and look inside. I'm not really saying. Yeah.
This is discussion, correct? Okay, can we have a motion to close the meeting?
Are you postponing these other things?
Yes, we will move the remaining 1, 2,
I looked at that agenda.
3, 4, 5 things. Well, the good news is we have the next meeting agenda done. So, those 5 items will be moved to the next meeting. And then we will close this meeting if someone makes the
I'll
motion.
make a motion to close the meeting.
All right, can I first, second? All right, all in favor?
I
Aye.